sit down, relax, de-stress.
In terms of exactly what my role was, and hopefully we spend the rest of the day talking about what's good for the people here in the 22nd district
Okay.
in the city of Plainfield.
Well, Bo also mentioned, okay.
Well, no, I want to clear this
Okay,
up
okay,
first,
sorry.
okay? Since it's been out there. First of all, Bo and some of his supporters had mentioned that a couple years ago, I basically sold some property in the city of Linden,
Okay,
which I bought 40 years ago
all right.
as a young man who invested in real estate. They had taken that particular area, redevelopment, not only the county of Union, but the city of Linden. So I got treated no different than 20 other people who basically property was basically blighted, and we got paid for it. So when someone say that I had some inside information, 40 years later,
Sure.
I find that rather ridiculous.
There.
Now, let's move on to the issue that...
Okay, before you got here, he also was talking about the Raritan.
Let's finish up one issue at a time.
Okay.
Enough now? Then again, I want to move on and talk about what is good for the state and where we need to go.
Oh,
He brought up the Auburn's group. I've been very fortunate to have 40 years of business experience as well as 20 years of political experience.
sure.
So what I was able to do was join a firm with my business expertise, where 12 of us basically have come together and had the ability to have experience in different fields. Not one time during the course of when Auburn's was representing Solaris was I involved financially or involved with the period. I would go as far as saying that every issue that I felt that I was not comfortable with, I went in with the attorney. We have the ethic attorney, well, in Trenton, to tell you what you can do, what you can't do. And I have documents to prove, even on this particular issue, dealing with this group, as long as I didn't financially benefit from it, I didn't participate in it, then I have done nothing whatsoever. Law enforcement has looked at this issue, and everyone else has looked at this issue. Because I became part of leadership, and part of leadership means that you basically sit down with the speaker and you talk about all issues.
Sure.
So by me not being comfortable anymore, because there's not too many issues that basically I didn't discuss, I decided not to get involved in the future, as long as it's elected official.
Okay, well, Jerry, let me ask you this right here. We were talking also about the Raritan Valley line. Is that correct? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bo was saying that he believed that the line should go directly into New York, and it should not stop in Newark. It should, it would attract more business and more people into these areas, into the areas of the Raritan Valley, if the train actually went from, let's say, Plainfield or wherever it started off at, and go straight into New York. And that right there is what he wanted to propose to.
That's one of my proposals.
One of his proposals. What do you think about that, Jerry?
Well, again, this is an issue that we have been talking about for over 20 years.
Okay.
Finally, we have something on the drawing board. We just broke ground with a new tunnel that's going to take us into New York.
Okay.
This would have been, I would say, great for this part of the state, as well as when they had a direct line going through the area of Montclair. That has
Sure.
But it's like anything else. Where's this money coming from?
But will that?
One
Okay.
more time. Where's
Okay.
the money coming from? This is why in the last couple of years I've been a member of the Transportation Committee.
Okay.
And we studied these different proposals.
Okay.
And we just felt at this particular time that we didn't even wanted such an issue just to stop in Elizabeth. We felt was important to go as far as west as possible, including Plainfield. But again, these are the kind of issues that we're going to have to deal moving forward. Because currently, a lot of issues have been put on hold by both parties.
Sure.
Because of the fact that
Republican Democrat Party.
we're in economic tough times.
Jay, but let
But
me.
I'm not saying what he's saying is not something that we can't look into.
Sure.
And we can research.
What about taxes? You know, everybody's talking about taxes. Do the politicians actually have their hand in on the taxes? In terms of, can you guys, any group, whether it's Republican, Democrat, or Independent, can you actually help bring the taxes down? Because, you know, Jerry, since I've been voting since I was 18 years old, I've heard this conversation over and over and over. I was talking to Bo about it, is that every politician that come up say that, you know, talk about the taxes, reducing taxes. Can you guys do it? And if so, why haven't it been done in Jersey?
Well, first of all, the luxury that I had early in my career, I spent 10 years with a large company.
Okay.
So I had an idea of what a large company and how they operate. I spent 25 years as a small businessman
Okay.
who understand what it takes to make a payroll. Never filed for bankruptcy, never had any business problems because of the background I had in terms of my ability to understand finances. I got involved in politics because I didn't like the way politics was being run. It was not being run like a business. So during my whole career as a politician, I have always taken a business approach. I spent 2 terms as a freeholder. Out of those 2 terms, I was chairman 1 year, and I was chairman of the finance committee for the whole county of Union for 3 years.
Okay.
And I took a business approach in terms of the ability to begin to cut taxes, cut waste. In fact, this last 4 years, as part of leadership, I've gone in, and when people talk about taxes, I must say today, we're paying for a lot of mistakes we've made in the past.
Okay. So how can we?
For example, we basically recommended to the governor, we don't want no tax increase, period. It's rather hard to do that when you have contracts where you have automatic increases every day. We want to get out of the different businesses that we subsidize that basically raise taxes. So it's not very easy to just to go in and say, I'm not going to raise taxes.
Sure.
This is automatic, built-in contracts that you have to honor. But we have to get out of the business, and it just doesn't start in Trenton. It even start locally. People want to respect their home rule. Home rule means we want to do what we want to do, and we don't have that luxury anymore.
Well, you know, with the taxes so high that everybody's talking about, the great exodus of people leaving Jersey and business and things, something has to be done.
Well, like I said, I mean, I think that there are some creative ways to generate revenue without raising taxes. The Raritan Valley line is one example. There's a lot of waste due to corruption, which we
Okay.
talked about. And I think that there are a lot of times when the interest of the voters isn't always the primary interest of the elected officials.
Okay.
As an example, and maybe the Assemblyman can explain this. I mean, he brought up the property in Linden. Whether he bought it 50 years ago, 40 years ago is not really relevant. It's a blighted area in Linden. He sold the property to the UCIA, the Union County Improvement Authority.
Was it a blighted area when he bought the property?
No, it was not.
No.
Because, you know, I bought a house in Plainfield that wound up become a blighted area, and it had nothing to do with me.
Right.
So I had to sell it again to buy a house I could fix up.
Right,
So,
right. So he sells the property for around $700,000 for the potential with the Union County Improvement Authority to
Okay.
develop something there. Fast forward to Plainfield, and you've got the Union County Improvement Authority who buys a piece of property down on Front Street to build condos, and yet the city sells them that property for $1. Seems to me that it's the same organization, the same intent, which is to take property that can be redeveloped and made into something that's beneficial to the community, but in the similar circumstances, one sold for $750,000 and one sold for $1.
well, wait a minute. And in defense to truth, not
Sure.